Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Scelzi Says. We're here with four-time NHRA champion, Gary Scelzi. Gary, welcome back.
Joe, thanks for having me.
Now, why on earth would you agree to do something like this on the Competition Plus audio magazine?
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, it's the only website that I go to for drag racing information that's up and up to date and up to speed and has the real news. And I still have a passion for drag racing. I love it. My heart and soul is in it, and I want to see if I can't help things get better.
And drag racing has a passion for Gary Scelzi. I hear it whenever I hit the track. Hey, when's Gary coming back? What's Gary up to? What's Gary Scelzi doing? I'm sure you have a lot of fans sending you that just the same. I
do, but I never can find my friends that's paid them off to say those things. But, you know, it's always nice to hear, and I hear it a lot. I see it in restaurants, and when I do go to an occasional sprint car race, I do hear it there, too, that people are glad to see me. They still watch drag racing, but they want me back.
They absolutely do. And what I think is very cool about this segment, which is going to be occurring on CompetitionPlus.com on a regular basis, is that you not being active in the sport right now gives you a little additional leeway to express your opinion.
It does. And the big thing about this, too, is I'm a fan. Okay, I've been on both sides of the fence, but I pay for a ticket, and I go to the drag races now, and I want to see some drag racing. So I think I can critique it a little bit. I want to try to be positive, but there's still some things that just flat piss me off.
And I'm going to ask the questions on everyone's mind, like, you have to pay for a ticket?
Well, if I don't have to beg NHRA, I mean, they came out with a deal where they gave me a credential for the year, but they gave anybody that won a national event a credential for a year. So I'm still working on that thing. So is Bob Vandegrift. And maybe we'll get that handled. I'm not sure.
No special treatment for four-time champs. All right, Gary, let's talk about this weekend's action. The O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Northwest Nationals Pacific Raceways, a place that has a great history of nitro drag racing.
Well, I got to tell you, Joe, I've been going to the Seattle area since 1985 when I ran Division 7 and ran my own alcohol dragster. And at one time traveling up there, I actually wanted to move to Seattle before I figured out why everything was green. It's green because it rains a lot. But what a beautiful place to go and have a drag race. The problem that I see is it's the same drag race facility it was in 1985. And we had been promised when I was a professional that, hey, don't badmouth the place, because I know Whit Bazemore was very vocal, unlike he was this weekend on his television show, about how bad the racetrack was, how the sun was in our eyes, how the shutoff, the track was bumpy, it was a one-lane racetrack. I'd been there before when the grandstands were condemned by the fire department because they didn't have the wood you could fall through it. And a lot of false promises were made to keep us quiet. Then I watched the qualifying over the Internet, and I look at tire smoke, and what a mess they had on their hands. And you know, I got to be honest with you. When I was in the middle of all this stuff and the car would go out and smoke the tires, I never thought about it. We just overpowered the racetrack. We always tried to make the car go down the racetrack. But then the more I learned about being involved in the sport is how much the track prep is. Now, let me tell you something. No motorsports on this planet is better than the safety safari. But, you know, I don't know who's running the show over there, but they seem to magically fix this thing from Friday night into Saturday. And actually, I watched the race on Sunday, and I thought it was a good show. Both lanes had good racing. Yeah, there was some tire smoke, but, you know, overall, you could win in either lane, and that's what it's supposed to be. I think NHRA and everybody, and even the racers, need to realize that the people that are in the stands are paying for everybody's bills. Now, if I had a sponsor, and I know NHRA was big on going to Seattle because NASCAR didn't go there, but let me tell you something. I don't think Tom Compton could look me in the eye and say, look, if I had Vaughn's Supermarkets wanting to sponsor a team and I want to go to Seattle to see a race, that would be the last place that I'd want to take them. And, you know, I understand that we want to go to places, and it is a beautiful setting for a drag strip, but they need to put a drag strip in there. And if they can't afford it, then maybe we need to go away and come back at a later time when somebody can afford to make at least the racing decent. So, you know, I think the track needs to be replaced. I think it needs to be dolled up. And if they don't have the money, I certainly understand it. But you've been giving us a lot of false promises for a long time, and I think it's time to put up or shut up. And even if we dropped our schedule back to 18 races or whatever it would be, I still say quality, not quantity.
And on the other side of the coin, Gary, some would say that environmental issues are what's holding up these improvements. And I know the new owners have tried to invest a lot of money, but have seen some roadblocks. Do you think that can be overcome?
Well, I don't see why it couldn't. I mean, if Bruton Smith came over the red-legged frogs at Infineon, I'm sure anything can be taken care of. There's also two sides to every coin, and it's all rumor. I don't know anything for true because I'm not in the middle of it, but I've also heard that some of it may be self-inflicted. But I know that Rockstead, when he was there, he cut trees down and shouldn't have done it, and he still got away with a lot of things. But it's just the idea. That place is beautiful. I love Seattle. I always remember landing in Seattle and going to 13 Coins and having dinner, having a nice seafood dinner. The people in the restaurant love the racers. Tim Richards was always in there. It's a great place, but I'm telling you, somebody needs to come clean and say, look, this is what's going on. This is why we can't go forward. Either we don't have the money, the environmentalists, the state, whatever it is, somebody needs to come clean and tell everybody. But that's still no excuse for having a facility like it is. And what really bothers me is if they could fix that racetrack, why wasn't it fixed before we got there on Friday? If that means we got to go in there and scrape these racetracks and scrub them with Tide and do a great washing and a cleansing, we need to get this fixed, boys. Or if they're going to do repairs, which I heard the racetrack was peeling up like it happened in Atlanta years ago, we've been at this too long. We should know the mix. If it's a 5-sack, 6-sack mix, if you're concrete, I'm speaking concrete language now, or the paving has to be a certain type of pebble. I mean, we should know this by now, and it has to be by those specs, and there should be an NHRA inspector just like there's a state inspector when they do your freeways. There's no excuse for this type of situation. And racers, I'm telling you, I love all of you because I am one of you, and I still love to watch it, but we got to make these cars go down the racetracks to keep these fans entertained. Whether it's a slow run or not, they want to see you go to the finish line. Trust me. Believe me, I sit by these people, and they tell me this all the time.
He's Gary Scelzi, a 4-time NHRA champ, and he'll be sounding off right here on Competition Plus Audio Magazine with Scelzi Says. Gary, thank you so much. I can't wait for the next one.
Great, and direct all bomb threats to another Gary Scelzi.
Gary, thank you very much.
All right, Joe, I can't wait.